Good afternoon. I'm Tami Fitzgerald, the Executive Director of the North Carolina Values Coalition. Charlotte's bathroom ordinance is unconstitutional, and this is just the first domino. Other cities are going to follow if Charlotte is not stopped. Under North Carolina's Constitution, cities have only those powers explicitly delegated to them by the state. Charlotte exceeded its delegated power by passing an ordinance that jeopardizes both the health and the safety of the citizens in Charlotte. It creates laws that are not uniform across the state, making it harder to do business in Charlotte than other parts of the state. This hurts businesses who operate statewide. It violates the right to earn a livelihood free of government interference because the business regulations impose it. The Charlotte ordinance unfairly allows the government to overreach into private businesses and churches by forcing them to promote ideas and participate in events that conflict with their deeply held beliefs. This violates the First Amendment and our own state constitution. If the General Assembly does not stand firm, a precedent will be set for municipalities to usurp power on any number of issues. Attorney General Roy Cooper has failed to protect the safety and privacy of our citizens. As Attorney General, Roy Cooper's only job is to defend the laws and Constitution of the state of North Carolina. He is our state's top lawyer and our chief law enforcement officer, and he has a sworn duty to promote the public safety and protect our families and children. And yet, he has turned his back on the safety and the privacy of our citizens, choosing instead to support this leftist LGBT agenda in Charlotte that violates common sense by allowing men into the bathrooms, locker rooms, and showers of women and vice versa. Because Roy Cooper has failed to do his job, we are looking to the governor and the General Assembly to call for a special session before April 1st, before this law goes into effect. The Charlotte bathroom ordinance was heavily promoted by a convicted sex offender. Chad Severance Turner, the former head of the Charlotte LGBT Chamber of Commerce, promoted and pushed this ordinance, although he is a convicted sex offender who was sentenced to 10 years in jail for molesting a young boy. This is exactly what we have been warning, that sex offenders would take advantage of this law to gain legal access to places where women and girls expect privacy, like bathrooms and locker rooms. And this is actually happening in other states who have these laws already in place. You heard a few of them already, but another one is in 2011, transvestite Thomas Lee Benson, a convicted sex offender for having sexual contact with a minor girl dressed as a woman so he could go into the women's locker room at a swimming pool in Oregon. There were young girls present in the locker room changing into their swimsuits while Benson was in there. Previously, Benson had dressed as a woman to enter a women's dressing room at a pool in Portland, Oregon. Young girls were changing into their swimsuits in that dressing room too. And we have had reports just in the last week of 2 women in Charlotte who have already encountered men in their restrooms. Just passing the ordinance has given men a boldness to think that they have the right and the ability to go into a woman's restroom without legal authority. What will it be in 2 weeks when the ordinance actually goes into effect? Now, some have said that the $42,000 daily cost of a special session is too high to justify calling a special session. But we agree with House Speaker Tim Moore, who said we cannot put a price on safety. If just one little girl or one woman is harmed in a bathroom or a locker room, it will be too many. That's right. Besides, this is why we pay taxes, so they can take care of the privacy and safety of our citizens. Today, we are presenting right here in these boxes Governor McCrory and the General Assembly with 13,000 petitions asking them to call for a special session to overturn the Charlotte bathroom ordinance. Together with the 22,000 petitions that we already delivered to the Charlotte City Council asking them not to pass the ordinance, that is 35,000 people in North Carolina who are so opposed to this ordinance they were willing to sign a petition. But the numbers are much higher than the 35,000 petitions represented here. That's A recent poll conducted by Survey USA on behalf of WRAL shows that 66% of North Carolinians want the ordinance overturned, either by the General Assembly or by ballot referendum. Among Republicans, 80% want the ordinance overturned, and 59% of registered Democrats want the ordinance overturned. What's interesting about this poll is that of the different regions of the state, the highest percentage of people who want this ordinance overturned is in Charlotte. You know, the LGBT and liberal groups often like to say that Raleigh should not be butting into Charlotte's business. But in reality, the message is clear. The citizens of Charlotte want this ordinance gone. This poll shows that the people are demanding that the governor and our legislative leaders call the General Assembly back into session to overturn Charlotte's ridiculous ordinance. And if they do, we believe it will be a step of leadership that reflects exactly what the voters in North Carolina are looking for in their elected leaders: common sense. Roy Cooper must not have much common sense, and he is definitely out of touch with the majority of people in North Carolina because he thinks there are other more important priorities than getting rid of Charlotte's egregious bathroom ordinance that violates the Constitution, puts women and children at risk of grave danger, compromises the right to privacy, and exposes businesses to frivolous lawsuits. It is just plain common sense not to allow men in women's bathrooms. We urge the Attorney General to do his job and protect the health and safety of our state's citizens. But if he will not, we urge the Governor and the General Assembly to call themselves back into session to fix this ridiculous bathroom ordinance. Thank you.